I am here for my 4-year update, which is insane. I can't even believe it's been 4 years. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting and actually decided I was going to do the Dreadlock 20 questions because I always said I was going to do it and just apparently never got around to it. So in looking through the questions and kind of preparing to do this video, it's really insane that so many of the people who online had been my support system and things that I had needed and used, over the years, that pretty much no one still has dreadlocks who was around at the time that I was starting mine, and also that I haven't really needed to use. I was always on Dreadlock Truth. That was a really big source of support for me and inspiration for me in the beginning. And I probably haven't even been on there since a year ago when I posted my 3-year photographs. So it's just interesting how time flies. And also when you work full-time and have a 2-year-old and life is very crazy and a cross-country move and all kinds of things this year. So it has been really an amazing and wonderful year for our family, and we left Houston and moved to a really small town in rural Tennessee, and are joining a community here of people who are just amazing, and it has been kind of a dream come true for us, for a place to raise our daughter and really kind of fulfill all of our dreams as professionally, but also as a couple. David and I have talked for years and years since we met, pretty much, of kind of this vision of what we wanted, and have been really researching and into intentional communities, and it became reality this year. So it's been really incredible to see the transformation from our life, a year ago to now. And so, with that transformation has also come, I think, some new growth, probably, you will notice, and we'll kind of go through the 20 questions, and I'll show you my dreads a little bit more, and you kind of get maybe a little more review of kind of the changes that I've seen. The first question, and this is from the Dreadlock Tag. Obviously I wasn't tagged, but I'm just using the questions, and I don't know where it came from. I remember seeing a lot of people doing it on YouTube when I first started out, and so here are the questions. Do you remember the specific moment you decided you were going to dread your hair? Where were you and how did you feel? I don't think there was a specific moment. I think over time, it just became more and more apparent that that was what I wanted and needed to do for myself, for kind of my journey towards authenticity and, learning patience, and that spiritual journey that I was seeking, and it was really a part of that. But it was 2011, when I really committed to the decision. Early 2011, we were living in Galveston, Texas, on the beach. We had just decided to buy an RV. I was really into blogging at the time. I was writing a lot. We had just left Houston, and we had closed our art studio, but we were still pretty involved in the art scene in Galveston, and doing some art walks and art shows and things like that. And so, I would periodically see people with dreadlocks, and I remember being at Mod Cafe in Galveston, and there was a girl, probably about my age, white girl with these amazing dreadlocks. Probably they looked similar to how this looks now. And I had been doing all this, watching videos on YouTube, and I remember I got up my brave and went over and asked her, about methods and if she knew anybody who did dreadlocks, and so that was kind of one of those commitments, telling someone, out loud, not just my husband or somebody on a blog post, but that I was gonna have dreadlocks. So I remember that moment. What method did you use to start your dreadlocks? I used backcomb, so I had left them just using shampoo, a clarifying shampoo, for a couple of weeks, and nothing else, no other products. And then my husband actually separated all of them and did back comb with a flea comb, and that was it. We didn't put any product, no wax, no nothing in it, and just left them like that. How old are my dreadlocks? Next week they will be 4 years old. March 13th, I think. Well, we did it over 2 days, but that was about, so almost exactly 4 years. What is the length of your longest dread and your shortest dread? Which I just had to go and measure. My longest dread is somewhere in the back. I don't know if you can see it. Which is 15 inches, and then the shortest one is also kind of my goofiest one, is 8.5 inches. And that kind of goes on the next question. Do you have any that are especially unique, strange, or awesome? This has always been my craziest dread with that big knobbin on the end, and it's shrunk quite a bit. But at one point, I mean, it was like a big, at one point it looked kind of like a heart, then it looked like a hammer, like it was like a big square mallet coming out of it. So it's always been my funniest dread. At one point, this ball was up at my roots. Like, I mean, that's how short my dreads shrunk up to. So it was literally just like a ball of hair at the base of my neck. Any other ones? I have one that after a while, like somehow the way that it hits my shoulder or something like that, it seems to always like end up like this. So I've named it Pippi Longstocking Pippi because it's like literally always like curling up. How many dreads do you have currently? I had to count. I have 38, and when I went back and looked at my original post on Dreadlock Truth, I actually had written 37 or so. So I think I have the exact same number, and so it's 38 is the final number. Let's see, what shampoo or other products do you use on your dreads? I just actually talked about this in another video I'm going to post about kind of after shower maintenance, but I use the Dreadlock HQ shampoo. I dilute it with a lot of distilled water, and then I put some essential oils in there, but I have pretty much used that shampoo since the very beginning. I had a little period where I used some Dr. Bronner's and didn't like it. I felt like it was really slick and I got a lot of loose hair, so I've pretty much been on the Dreadlock HQ shampoo the whole time. And the only other product, the thing that I talked about in that video again, is this spray that they have, like a hemp seed oil spray, some fragrance that is nice, that I like. The next question is, how often do you wash your dreads? I pretty much religiously washed my hair once a week. Pretty much every Sunday I always washed my dreads. Now, I live in Tennessee, and it's been like freezing temperatures lately, snow and ice. And there have been a couple of Sundays where we were going to be out running errands, or I go to meditation usually on Sunday mornings, and I didn't get my hair washed, so I have gone 2 weeks. A couple of times. And also the very first time I washed my dreads, I waited. I was going to try to wait a month, I was going to wait as long as I could, and I only could wait 2 weeks before it just felt so bad that I had to wash it. So I would say once a week. And do I do any regular maintenance on my dreads? I've never done anything regular. When we lived in Houston, I waited 1 whole year before I did anything to them. I just let them be. And right before my 1-year anniversary, we went to Austin to the lock doctor and had them clean them up. So they used crochet and just kind of pull in all the loose hairs, and it was a nightmare. So it took a while that first time. And then probably for the next 2 or 3 years, I went, well, for the next 2 years, I went there maybe every 4 or 6 months, and they did some crochet maintenance just to keep them tidy and keep all that loose hair in. Now, I haven't been there in over 6 months, so, and I don't know, I think my husband is probably going to just grab a crochet hook and try to get some of it in, because I've got some really long new growth right now, which really probably needs to be cleaned up. So let's see. The next question is, what are your favorite beads or other decorations? Because of the way that my dreadlocks are so thick on the bottom, I've had a lot of trouble, and plus I didn't want to go buy a bunch of beads because I had bought so many in the beginning that now can't fit on the ends. But I have this wrap, I don't know if you can see it, but I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite one, but the one that I wanted that day at the Lock Doctor, it wouldn't fit on any of my dreads. So I ended up with this one, but I've come to love it. So that's my wrap. And then I have one of the beads actually that I used, you know, when my dreads were really young. Okay, I can't find it. That bead actually fits on one of my skinnier dreads. So this is probably my favorite because it's actually kind of cool. But I like that one. And then I have a couple of just little like clasp ones, which I'm not going to be able to probably see. But they're just little metal. Like they remind me of the toe rings I used to wear, you know, so it can come thrown and clamps on. So that's there. So I would say probably this ceramic bead is my favorite bead. The next question is, if your dreads had their own personal motto, what would it be? And so immediately I thought of like patience, because for me, if you have watched my video stream, you know like it has been a long journey, and I had to be very patient in the months, years that they were so short. So, you know, I think my motto definitely has to be good things come to those who wait, because, you know, I always knew, like I knew at some point they would look like this, you know, that it would be worth the journey. And so fighting that urge, like, you know, I don't think I ever really wanted to do extensions, but so many people did, you know, and I saw why once mine were like, you know, this short at some point. So really, I think, yeah, good things come to those who wait. And that's what I tell people all the time. We actually were at a restaurant in Nashville last night, and little plug for Mellow Mushroom, which is like one of our favorite places to go. But one of the waitresses, one of the servers at Mellow Mushroom had dreadlocks, and I could tell that they were fairly young. And so, you know, we kind of like flagged her down, and she came over and she said they were about a year old. And I just, you know, kept telling her, I was like, be patient, you know, it's totally worth it. You know, so it's fun to see, you know, another young person, you know, kind of starting the journey out. The next question is, if you could start a new set of dreads, would you do anything differently? So I had to really think about this question, you know, because, you know, there are so many little things that you do along the way that kind of impact what they look like. But the answer is actually no, which is really crazy. So like there has to be something that I did that I'm like, oh, that was a really bad idea. But honestly, I mean, for me, it was like waiting and not touching them for that first year. Like that was the key. You know, they really had a chance, like do their own thing. And since my focus really was on being natural, like allowing them to do it and just honoring that path, I think because I learned so much from that, you know, there wasn't anything that I would have done differently. Now that I'm talking, the only one thing that, and it's not about how I did my dreads, but I waited for a really long time. I wanted my hair to be really long before I started them. And later, I realized that that may have actually affected how much they shrank. Like, they may not have shrunk as much if my hair had started off shorter. So I have said in passing, and I've said sometimes, that maybe I didn't need to wait so long, you know, for them to be, my hair to be so long before I started them. So that may change my answer there.